here's something about success. You're trying to make a rainbow real and concrete enough to climb so that you can get to a pot of gold. And even if by some miracle you're able to make that figment of your imagination real, you would still have a steep climb. That is success. Uh, That's something I wrote earlier today, and it was in the process of creating that those types of ideas can just flow out of you. Um, I love that analogy so much. Not just because it's made by me, but if you actually break it down, if you actually take a look at it and the different components of it, you realize how accurate it is. Especially as someone who is working towards success yourself, you can really understand that the first battle is a great battle. It's an incredible battle. Uh, to get to level zero or to get to level one. The level zero is so incredibly difficult, which is you have to take this thing, you have to take a figment of your imagination and make it so real to you that you think you can actually do it. That's the only way to start pursuing your dream. You have to see it when nobody else sees it, and you have to believe it even when you can't see it. It's that through normal people's eyes, your dream will be impossible. And that's okay because God didn't give them your vision, He gave it to you for a reason. Because they couldn't fulfill it because they wouldn't believe in it. But you have something in you that allows you to dream so vividly, to see through time, space, action, behavior, interpersonal connections. You see through gestures. You see reality as it is, not as you wish it to be, but as it is. And then also have the optimism that it takes to see it for what it could be. To see things as they are and not any worse, and also to see things as better than they are, to see them for what they can be. That's what it takes. And so you as you're seeing this rainbow, in order to begin to climb it, first and foremost, in order to be standing in front of the rainbow, about to go up this freaking magical, this magical slip and slide that is in reverse. So first of all, just the physics of trying to climb this thing is yeah, it's going to be a great challenge. Because if you imagine a rainbow, it wouldn't be something that is very gnarly. It wouldn't be like a wall. It wouldn't have much detail to it. It wouldn't have much texture to it, so it would be very difficult to grab onto. You maybe need to have a rope around it. How far around? You know what I'm saying? Like that's, but that's actually doing it. Before you actually do it, in order to even be in front of the rainbow, you need to believe in rainbows. You need to believe in magic. You need to believe in miracles. You need to believe that your dream can come true. And if you are there standing in front of this dream, this miracle, and you believe that you can climb it, and you do, and you do that by holding on to the pieces that are irrefutable of this dream. And so, for example, the question, what would it take for it to be impossible for you not to achieve your goal if you did the thing? And so, for example, me starting my first business, it took me learning from people who've already done it. And so it would be impossible if I did the things that the people who have already done it did, that I would not achieve the same results that they did. That would be impossible because there's nothing special about me. And so if I take the same actions that the people who did it took, I will get the same result. Inputs are equal to outputs over a long enough time horizon. And also with the humility of understanding that you are not on the same level as them, number one, and you may not even be on the same level that they were when they started. They may have had a certain subset of skills that allowed them to take advantage of whatever opportunity that they had. Point is, regardless of that, if you keep doing the thing, and if you keep doing repetitions, you will get better, and eventually you will get the result. And so in doing so, that's how I made my first sale. And so that first sale becomes something concrete, real, right? I made real money from real people who paid me for my service. Now that right there is when you begin to blur that line between reality and your imagination. That's when that line, that's when you're not sure which is which. Meaning, I knew before I was able to have this, before I had the skill, I knew I would get it. I knew that if I continue to do what I'm doing, eventually someone will say yes because they have to, because mathematically speaking, there's someone out there who's ready to pay me now. Do you see how rooted in reality, but also borderline psychotic you have to be in order to begin, in order to see this rainbow, in order for this rainbow to be real? You really have to knock off the door on door on door on door on door and make request after request after request, call after call after call, text after text after text. There's probably thousands, hundreds, if not thousands, of uh, cold DMs that were never answered, emails that were never even seen, videos that never went anywhere, did nothing. Hundreds, if not thousands. If you put that all together, and the interactions that I had with people, one on one, of hi, would you like to? Nope. Okay. Hi, would you like? No. Okay. Hi, would you? And then you get a bit further, and then you get a bit further. Rejection. It's like but I got further that time, and it's those little things that getting further. It's those tiny things that you grab onto as you're climbing. And so you're there. You've done the impossible. First, just to start, you've done the impossible, which is you gain faith. You have this irrevocable faith that what you're doing will pay off one day. Cool. Now you start to climb. As you're climbing, that faith may waver. And in a very real way, the rainbow itself from in front of you, if we were to stick to this rainbow analogy, when you start losing the dream, when you start losing yourself in whatever the situation may be that is not that, and when you start doing things that are not the things that lead to the success you want to have, that rainbow starts to like blink out. like it's there, it's gone there. Gone there. You're like, hey, what was that? You're losing it. Your eye is starting to drift. You're looking at the next rainbow. You're like, now that I climb rainbows, I saw that guy climb that rainbow, and he's seeing some pretty quick success doing. Maybe I should go climb that. You start moving like, boop, boop, hey, whoa, okay. You remember why you're there. Is very, very important. When you get that fear, especially when you have fallen off a rainbow before from losing faith, or have changed lanes and paid the cost, you will be very discouraged from doing that, my friend. Trust me. It was very difficult switching from, or it was very difficult but deliberate, switching from coaching rugby, personal training, business, purely business. Like that was a difficult transition because this is very much about the body, the human body, this, that, its capabilities, and pushing my own physical capabilities, all that stuff. Uh, you know, yeah, yeah. We're not going to get into numbers, but we did things that really gave us all the validation that we needed to know that if we keep doing what we're doing, we will be incredible in this space. And to go from that and to not climb but fall off that rainbow because you lost the vision, makes you realize the power of keeping it, and realize why it's necessary to keep sight of why you set out to do what you're doing in the first place. Cool. And so you do keep climbing. Now that you're here, you realize the cost of distraction, the cost of veering off of the path, and the cost of switching paths. It's a very, very heavy price. And so if you haven't paid it yet, I suggest you don't. Not I suggest you don't. Like, it's never too late to start again, of course. Um, However, at the highest echelon, at the highest level of whatever you're doing, whether we are selling staples or we are doing consulting, meaning we're helping people grow their businesses, whether we're doing that through their marketing, through their sales, through whatever the case is. Even if you're a lawn mowing service, right? These are all very different businesses. Even if you're a product, so you sell products, whatever the case may be, all very different services. But at the highest level, what are you really going to do? At the highest level, if you're the CEO, there's a CFO, CMO. Say this is a massive company. You've gone national. You're across the whole continent, making tons and tons of money. All that stuff. What are you really going to be doing? You're going to be taking calls. You're going to be looking at numbers. So at the highest level, this is all the same thing. And so this is my attempt of discouraging a lane change, unless you're truly unhappy where you are, which is what I was at that time. If I kept pushing, would I have probably made it quite massively eventually? I would say probably not. Like, yes, I would have made it regardless, right? Because I still have in me what I have in me now. I'm still the dreamer, and I was a dreamer then. So I would have found a way to kind of make it huge, and hopefully to put a mission behind it, because I think that's the only way to really truly stay in the game. Is to put a great mission behind it, have a reason to wake up in the morning and really give your all. If I was able to do that, then sure, I would have had some success. But the opportunity in that vehicle was not as big as the kind of opportunity that I'm trying to chase now, and so the success itself wouldn't have been as monumental, and the dream behind it wouldn't have been as powerful. And I say that to say, you continue to make the climb because you've now so vividly, so realistically formed this thing from your mind to now, that even though you would imagine that a rainbow would be quite slippery, you are seeing this thing so vividly that there is texture to it. And you can claw and hold on to and grab onto these very real things. And thoughts become things. And if you keep climbing for long enough, over a long enough time horizon, you will get to the top. And from there, when you've gotten there, then it's just a young push. Whee! You just slip and slide down the rainbow, and boom, you've gotten to the pot of gold. And when you get to that pot of gold, you'll realize that it was never about the gold. It was about that climb and about that adventure and about that journey and who you had to become. The skills that you had to learn of how to visualize so vividly it becomes real. And then now that it's real, now the real work begins. Now that you've done the impossible, now you can start working towards achieving. Now that you have conceptualized the impossible, now that the impossible exists in here, and you are able to see how it can exist here, now you can start working towards making the impossible a reality, which is not just making the rainbow itself, but climbing the rainbow so that other people can believe in dreams too. When that work is done, you get down to the other side, and you realize that it was about the climb, it was about the journey, it was about who you became as a result of what you're doing. And what you'll notice is, and this is what in my understanding, right? And this is someone, like, again, I bet you start rolling your eyes at this point every time I say, yeah, I read over 20 books. Because 20 is actually not that much. I'd honestly read a lot more, but I'm like busy. So I actually do understand why, in terms of my heroes now, they talk about, nah, I just skim those books. Because it makes sense. Not just as like a writer myself, and like my heroes are also people who are writers, authors, that type of stuff. And so you're used to a certain level of writing, and you also produce a certain level of writing. So most people, if someone doesn't write as well as you do, then it will just seem redundant to you to read the thing, because they will repeat points multiple times, and they'll just be saying the same thing in different ways. So most books you can kind of skim through. Anyway, I say that to say, yes, I have read the books, little bit of personal experience behind it as well. And from all that, if you gather all that together, you realize that thoughts do become things. I did lose my train of thought but that's okay because the truth remains the truth regardless, right? And so whether I finish that point or I start making a new one, the point remains that in trying to make your life a success, you have to go through these steps. And this is in my understanding as someone, here's the thought, who's read over 20 books, who watches the podcast, who in terms of you see your Alex Ramosi, you see your Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Nvidia. So sorry for forgetting his name. You see these people and you see the way that they speak. You see the way Warren Buffett speaks, Charlie Munger. You see the way that they speak, and you understand the game. You understand that they see the game completely differently to the way normal people see it. I was gonna say the way we see it, but I honestly don't believe that I see the game the same way that most people see it. And have to thank God for that, right? Because it's one of those things. Like, was it really under my control? I can't in any way, shape, or form take credit for that because I don't think that it was. But I've taken it and I'm running with it. But it's not my gift. It's mine to share, but it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to you. I'm just giving it to you. You know. Pause. And I say that as someone who understands all these things, who understands that worldview, that success is this, like this is success. Success is doing that, and when you get to that pot of gold, they all talk about the climb being the point. You know, great man once said, "I sometimes I wish I could go back and relive my life, not to change anything, just to experience some things twice." And so I guess the message in part is something that I've said once and I'll say multiple times and I'll say it until I understand it and conceptualize it and deep it as much as I want to, that these are the good old days. These are the days that you'll look back to. These are the days that you'll look back on, the days where you're watching some weird kid in his storeroom slash studio slash gym slash study room slash you're watching some weird dude in like with a rainbow on his t-shirt, some weird dude with a dream on his t-shirt, and you were also having your dream, and his dreams were strengthening your dreams, and both visions were making one another more concrete, because there is no me doing this without you guys supporting it, and there's nothing to support if I don't dream. And so there is a beautiful synchronicity in which we exist, in which we coexist. And I say all of that to say, dream, dream. But once you've dreamed, realize that you now have a dream to realize. Now that you have a dream, now you look up and there's a giant climb to make. Now that you've broken through the matrix, through the artificial reality to what it really is, like now that you vividly see that thoughts become things and you can do anything you set your mind to, now that you're at this place knowing what you know now, does the work start. I'm gonna leave you with that, standing on business. If you like the channel, please do hit that subscribe button. I have been Sage, signing out.